Just 3 minutes before, this room was like any other boring, routine hearing. Nothing in the air hinted that a historic moment was about to unfold. What seemed like just another day in Congress was seconds away from becoming one of the most uncomfortable, jaw-dropping moments ever captured on camera in Washington. Once these documents hit the floor, there was no going back. But before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Moments like this rarely get the proper breakdown, and trust me, what happens next is going to shift the entire direction of this hearing. Yesterday, in response to Senator Kennedy, you boldly stated that the FBI doesn't have any credible evidence that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone other than himself. So, based on your testimony here today, according to the FBI's own records, the number of people involved in this trafficking operation is zero. Zero. The index has already been released, and the people involved were charged back in 2018. Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were the only ones. So, according to the evidence, there are no other names. No one else was charged. Then tell me, who are these other names? Who were the others involved but never charged? Give us the list. Just 3 minutes ago, everything was typical. It was a Thursday afternoon, 2:47 p.m. Eastern Time, when C-SPAN footage usually gets lost in the background noise of empty offices. This was supposed to be just another forgettable hearing. But then, Kash Patel walked in, carrying himself like a man who had faced far worse. His posture was solid, shoulders squared. His navy suit, perfectly tailored, looking sharp and ready. This wasn't his first rodeo. He'd survived hostile interviews, media storms, and more than 100 congressional hearings. And Washington had taught him one hard lesson: stay calm, say nothing, give away nothing. Flanking him were 3 lawyers, quiet, but their presence was undeniable. 2 senior aides were seated behind him, their binders already open. Everything about Patel screamed preparation, control, and the expectation of staying in charge. The first 90 minutes passed as expected. Republicans droned on about staffing. Democrats, of course, focused on January 6th. Patel gave his usual smooth, evasive answers that had been perfected over years of practice. He nodded, acknowledged concerns, and talked up procedures. At one point, he even checked his watch. The man was so bored, it was almost a statement in itself. But then came Jared Moskowitz's turn. Moskowitz didn't waste time. Director Patel, he said casually, let's talk about transparency. Patel nodded, the practiced nod of someone who thought he knew exactly where this was going. Transparency, it's the FBI's so-called safe word in Washington, right? It's the empty promise that they operate with full openness. But Moskowitz wasn't done. He cut in, a sharp smile spreading across his face. It wasn't warm, it was cold, calculated. Prosecutorial. I have some documents that the American people deserve to see. He slammed a thick red folder on the desk. It was heavy, thick, and tabbed with yellow notes. The kind of folder that immediately signals resistance, a hidden truth about to be revealed. I'm happy to discuss any materials that have been properly cleared, Patel said, trying to hold his ground. Moskowitz didn't miss a beat. These are cleared. Declassified as of 11 p.m. last night. Public domain. And that means I can read them aloud, right here, right now. And there's nothing you can do to stop me. The room froze. Senator Lindsey Graham glanced up from his phone. Senator Dick Durbin leaned forward. The camera zoomed in. Everyone felt it. Something irreversible was about to happen. Moskowitz opened the folder. These are FBI documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Specifically, these files detail people who visited Epstein's properties, flew on his private jet, and are mentioned in witness testimony. He looked directly at Patel. You recognize these, right? Congressman, the FBI maintains extensive records for many investigations, Patel replied, trying to keep his calm. I'm about to show you the specific ones, Moskowitz shot back, pulling out the first page. This is a visitor log from Epstein's Palm Beach residence, dated March 14, 2003. Moskowitz started reading the names aloud. The first 3 meant nothing. Generic names, lost to history. The 4th was a hedge fund manager, whose links to Epstein were already known. But when he read the 5th name, the silence hit. It wasn't a polite quiet. It was the kind of silence when 50 people collectively stopped breathing. Moskowitz's voice hardened. This name appears 17 times in these logs. 17 documented visits. He held the page to the cameras. And yet 2 years ago, when Congress asked for these documents, they were classified as too sensitive to release. Why? Patel reached for his water, hand steady, but the hesitation before speaking gave everything away. Congressman, classification decisions are based on privacy and ongoing investigations. Moskowitz shot back. There's no ongoing investigation. Epstein is dead. Maxwell is in prison. This is about protecting powerful people, not investigations. Moskowitz pulled out another document, an official flight manifest from Epstein's private jet, dated July 22nd, 2000. This document lists 4 names. 3 have already been made public. But the 4th? That's been redacted in every release so far. Redacted under your authority, Director Patel. He paused. This redacted name shows up on 12 separate flight manifests. 12 flights. Palm Beach, New York, the Virgin Islands. The room felt the tension. In 90 seconds, social media exploded. Patel's attorney whispered something urgently, but Patel barely moved. He shook his head slightly. Moskowitz wasn't done. He reached for a new page. This is witness testimony from a woman who worked at Epstein's Manhattan residence between 1999 and 2002. She gave her statement to the FBI in 2009. She described seeing the same person at Epstein's property multiple times. Moskowitz read directly from the document. He was there at least 5 or 6 times, always evenings, always with Jeffrey. They seemed like old friends. The room gasped. You could feel the air shift. This wasn't just testimony, it was a bombshell. Director Patel, Moskowitz demanded, this testimony has been in FBI files for 16 years. Why was it classified? Patel hesitated. And then it happened. He slipped. Senator, he said, before quickly correcting himself to Congressman. That small mistake spoke volumes. The pressure was on. For 16 years, that testimony sat in FBI files, unseen, untouched, unchallenged. Now it demanded an explanation. Patel tried to reset. The FBI doesn't classify documents to protect individuals. Classification exists to protect sensitive information. And your protocols protected this individual, Moskowitz countered. And we both know why. It wasn't oversight anymore. It was confrontation. Moskowitz continued pulling out documents, each one a damning revelation. These documents were requested by Congress 2 years ago. They were denied each time under the same reason, classification. Patel was losing control. He remained silent, trying to keep his composure. Moskowitz pulled out another item, a photo, an 8x10 from Mar-a-Lago in 1997. This photo has been public for years, Moskowitz said, but what the public hasn't seen are these. He pulled out 32 more photos from the same event, photos the FBI had kept locked away. You refused to release these. Patel's forehead was glistening with sweat. He glanced at his attorney, who handed him a folded note, but Patel ignored it. The release of investigatory photos requires careful review, he muttered. Moskowitz slammed his hand down on the desk. Compromise what? Epstein is dead. Maxwell is in prison. There are no ongoing prosecutions. The room was electric now. Everyone knew something huge had just broken. Director Patel, Moskowitz said, standing up and leaning over the desk, I'm going to ask you a direct question. I want a yes or no answer. Can you do that? Patel nodded, but his eyes revealed dread. Moskowitz dropped the hammer. Has the FBI, under your leadership, conducted any investigation into the individuals named in these Epstein documents? The silence was deafening. 23 seconds passed. Every single person in that room felt the weight of it. Finally, Patel answered, the FBI pursues all credible leads according to established priorities. Moskowitz laughed. That's a no. You just used 73 words to say no. Moskowitz began gathering the documents slowly. Let me tell you what I see, Director Patel. I see an FBI that spent more time investigating parents at school board meetings than investigating Jeffrey Epstein's clients. I see an agency that classified documents to protect powerful people, not national security. The room was buzzing now. Phones were lighting up. People were scrambling. Moskowitz wasn't finished. I have one last document, he said quietly, holding it up. A memo from March 27, 2024, 3 months after you became FBI director. He read the memo. Classified materials related to current or former government officials should undergo expedited review. Moskowitz looked at Patel. Did you authorize this memo, Director Patel? Patel hesitated. I don't recall the specifics. You don't recall? Moskowitz repeated, mocking him. You don't recall ordering the reclassification of documents that protected your boss's friends? The room erupted. This was no longer a hearing. It was a reckoning. The truth was out, and it was bigger than any of them expected. If you're still here, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. This story isn't over yet. There's more to come. Stay tuned, because this is just the beginning.